All vessels are advised to immediately return to port if leaving. Do not attempt to breach the blockade. Turn around and prepare to be boarded. If you do not comply with this blockade, we will use force.
U.S. Navy Warship 121. This is SEPA Navy Station. You must alter course and go back to the Indian Ocean immediately. If you don't obey my order, you will be targeted. Out.
This is Coalition Warship 121. Engaged in transit passage in accordance with international law. No challenge is attended to you.
let me point you towards a statement that recently came out from CENTCOM, where the admiral in charge said that he declared that the blockade of Iranian ports has been fully implemented. He went on to point out that 90% of Iran's economy is fueled by international trade by sea, and claims that in less than 36 hours since the blockade was implemented, U.S. forces have completely halted economic trade going into and out of Iran by sea. Now, we have seen a trickle of movement. We've seen some ships that seem to be coming from Iranian ports that were ultimately either turned back or seemed to pause as they reached the Gulf of Oman. We've seen a trickle of ships apparently going into the Gulf through the Strait of Hormuz on the way to other non-Iranian ports. I talked to a CEO of a ship management company he pointed out 16 ships that were in the Gulf on February 28th, the start of the war. He says they're still in there, and that, quote, we are not even contemplating trying to transit out. It's not safe.
The impact on aluminium has been really quite substantial. A large number of the world's largest aluminium smelters are situated in the Gulf. Approximately 22% of world ex-China aluminium production is situated in just a handful of countries in that region. And we've seen major impact to supply at smelters in that region. So two of the aluminium smelters were hit, the one in Bahrain and the EGA smelter, the Al Tawila smelter. In addition, there's a gas problem that has impacted the production in Qatar, the aluminium smelter there, because they have lost gas supply for part of their output, and also because of the constraints of raw materials coming in through the Strait of Hormuz, that has also affected operations at the smelter in Bahrain. Clearly, the supply constraints with the Strait of Hormuz remaining closed and the increased concerns there are driving the aluminium price higher. I mean, this has been a theme over recent weeks since the start of the conflict in the Middle East, and we've seen prices surge again.
我们看到这一次这个美国海军对于这个伊朗的船舶的定向拦截呢，它已经跟最早之前特朗普所说的封锁二字是有差别的。因为封锁意味着就是开战，因为我们知道目前这个美伊之间还处在2周的停战期，在21号才结束。那么在这个期间，你如果使用了封锁的这样的一个词汇，它本身就意味着向对方开战。那么对方呢，作为交战国，他有同样的权利跟你进行这个战争的行为。所以说这一次中央司令部呢，它采用了一个特定的叫定向拦截的方式，也就是说进出这个伊朗港口的船舶，以及向伊朗这个在霍尔木兹海峡革命卫队设置的收费站交了费用的船舶，它都要在 这个阿曼湾和阿拉伯公海上对这些船舶进行拦截。那么从这个角度上来看呢，这一次所谓的打引号的封锁呢，实际上它还不是一个战争行为，简单的说，它还是在停战期。那么它还是一种外交的胁迫的一种手段，或者说一种外交压力，还是希望伊朗能尽快回到这个谈判桌。我们看到美国也考虑的是对伊朗可能还要采取军事行动，但是他又不想这个打一场长期的战争，那么因此首选的还应该是通过这样的一种定向拦截来进行一种外交胁迫，希望伊朗能够做出让步，再次回到谈判桌。所以说这一次的定向拦截应该是一种外交胁迫的手段。我们看到这一次这个美国海军大概有15艘左右的舰艇进行所谓的对伊朗的封锁，也就是说从13号的北京时间晚上10点，在这个时间点上马上来进行这个封锁的话，它作为一种外交胁迫的这样一种手段，带有象征意义，它这些舰艇的阵势是很大。但是如果说根据中央司令部公布的那些要执行对伊朗定向拦截以及相关的周边任务来说，它显然是不够的，而且还有能力缺口。这个不够是因为它要长时间的这些舰艇要轮换，对伊朗2000多公里的这个海岸线上的所有港口的进出的船舶都要1对1的去临检，这个难度是很大的。第二个呢，这个能力缺口主要是伊朗在4月9号公布了一张海图，那么也就是说在正常的出霍尔木兹海峡的这个航道上有水雷，所以说只能走这个革命卫队这个划定的2条进出航道，这2条进出航道各2海里宽，非常窄。那么为了保证那些其他的船能够走正常航道呢，美国海军这15艘舰艇之外还要增加扫雷能力，但是目前它没有扫雷舰艇在这里，只有这个驱逐舰上的 MH-60这种直升机带着扫伊朗其中一型水雷，叫马哈姆3的这种毛雷的这样的一种扫雷具。当然它还有马哈姆7一种沉底雷，那么这种雷呢，它需要另外的扫雷艇，目前美国还在往这边调。所以从短期之内呢，从一个完全的作为一个非常完整的定向拦截跟伊朗相关的船舶，然后放行那些正常航行的船舶，这样一个任务来说，美国海军的这15艘舰艇完整的执行这个任务，那是远远不够的。
So we see that the US-Iranian negotiations appear to have failed, and largely because the US set conditions which more or less amounted to capitulation. And as a result, the US is now starting a naval blockade on the Strait of Hormuz, even before the ceasefire has expired. So I was wondering, how do you make sense of this?
The events day to day, of course, make no sense, or it's very hard to discern. A few days ago, Trump was going to destroy a civilization. In the evening, suddenly there's an announcement of a ceasefire. The next moment, Israel is essentially carpet bombing Beirut. The straits don't open. Then the U.S. Vice President goes for a marathon session of negotiations, completely unclear about the format and the organization, and to my sense, completely inconsistent with the statement that had been made 2 days earlier that the basis of the negotiations would be Iran's 10-point plan, which we never heard of during the visit of Vance or the aftermath. Then the negotiations fail. Then the U.S. blockades a blockade. This must be a first. We object to the blockade, so we blockade you. Then we hear statements made by Trump that Iran is begging for further negotiations. So honestly, this is not either linear or very transparent or very clear. I don't think that there's a deeply profound cleverness beneath all of this. I think there is a chaos that is part of this story. Part of the chaos is that there are two partners on one side of the war, Israel and the United States. Israel doesn't want a ceasefire. Israel wants the full destruction of Iran. It's not hidden, that fact. So the moment there is a supposed ceasefire, Israel goes into escalation mode in Lebanon, and then we have a weird day of debating whether Lebanon was part of the ceasefire. The intermediary, Pakistan, says definitely yes. Iran says of course. Israel says of course not. The United States hems and haws. So this is not deep. This is simply that one partner in this war, Israel, does not want a ceasefire and does not want a negotiation. Then there's a question of what the negotiations are about. The United States had put its maximal demands before. Iran had rejected them. Iran had put back a counter list of objectives. Donald Trump had posted that those were acceptable as the basis of negotiation. Then we didn't hear of those again. Okay, what's going on there? Well, in some sense, obviously, the United States, and it's a strange term to use, Donald Trump, because it's not the United States, it's one person, believes that he can bully and bluster his way to some kind of outcome. This is the overwhelming idea that he has had all along, that he can demand, huff, puff, bluster, post, bomb, whatever it is, that will yield an outcome. This is partly a delusion. Partly it may be strangely enough, the Iranians are very polite in their public demeanor in the negotiations. This may be taken as a sign of weakness by the United States, which does not believe in politeness or expressions of hope for trust and other things. If Iranian negotiators say, we would like trust with the United States, Trump thinks these people must be idiots. I'm trying to kill them. What are they talking about? And so it may be this kind of bizarre, even cultural, absolute lack of contact that is taking place. Trump, whether delusional or for whatever reason, believes that he can force his way through this, that he, to put it in his vernacular, has all the cards. And the Iranians, I think, at the core, believe that they have a lot of the cards, to use that strange expression in this context. But I don't think that they are simply acceding to U.S. demands. If that were the case, they would have acceded to U.S. demands a long time ago. If anything has become clear in recent weeks, it is that the United States cannot actually militarily defeat Iran. That's the overriding lesson. So why the bluster and demands and bombing and threats and killings by Trump, which didn't work before, why would they work now? But clearly, Trump believes that they will work. And I don't think he's bluffing about that. I think he believes that he can either bluff or bomb his way to success. It seems to be the case. I wasn't there, and I only heard it, of course, secondhand, but that Trump was calling constantly to Vance during these negotiations. If that's true, it's also a little pathetic and very bizarre, but it could actually be the case. It would certainly underpin what I believe is a fact. I may be wrong, but I believe that this is really individualized behavior. This is not the U.S. government in some institutional way rolled out to accomplish something. This is a one-person show. I think a delusional, incompetent one person. But my interpretation, Glenn, is that it's one person, Donald Trump. Maybe that's wrong, maybe that's naive, maybe I'm just reading superficially the reality, but I don't see a deeper reality in this than an incompetent, delusional old man blustering and shouting and bombing and killing, trying to get his way with a partner who doesn't want to have any way other than complete destruction. So that's why it looks so weird. It is weird. That's my interpretation.